The drug and alcohol addiction is a very sad life. The drug comes before anything. The drug is your husband, it is your wife, it is your everything.
It's like you're wearing blindfolds. All you focus on is your addiction and feeding that habit so that you can function. Because if you don't have those drugs, in my case crack and heroin, then I couldn't function. I couldn't deal with anything. I couldn't even get out of bed until I'd had my hit. The worst things about being caught up in the madness, living on the street, homelessness, having no food, going hungry, going cold, having to go out and graft for money. When I used to have to go out grafting, I used to have to go out shoplifting like a lot of people did. The last thing you think of when you go to sleep is I've got to score in the morning, I've got to get up, I've got to go out and earn my money to score. That's the worst thing. Always chasing the next hit, that's the worst part about it.
So before you know it, the addiction is a way of life, and you don't live, you just exist. And you can get very sad and lonely. I was very isolated. In the end, I started hanging around with the wrong people, as you probably know. You know, you do get with the wrong crowd. That's how it starts. But myself, I then didn't trust them, because these people, they end up stealing off of me, or the person, they steal off of each other. And even though I was in my addiction, I was never that type of person. I've always been pretty honest, even in my addiction. So I stayed away from even them in the end, and I was just isolated on my own. Yeah.
Isolation, you're sitting in a room and you don't go out. You don't do anything. The only thing you do is pick a phone up and phone your dealer. And you sit there and you wait for him to come. You might wait 5 minutes, you might wait 5 hours, depending on who your dealer is.
I got to know Lynn when she was on a programme of activities for recovering addicts. The programme's called Sea Change, and it's based in Birmingham. On the first day, there was a visit to an art gallery.
My addiction started at a very young age. My mom was a perfect mom. She never did anything like that. She never touched drugs or alcohol. I was only raised by my mom. I didn't meet my dad. I was always attracted to trouble. So at a very young age, I started hanging around with the wrong crowd. I was probably about 13. Started hanging around and experimenting with just cannabis. But each year, the drug got harder and harder, until finally I was using heroin. And I started that when I was 18. And doing things that I really didn't want to do to support myself. And I was very young. I was an attractive young girl, and and I attracted the wrong kind of people, So that's when it started. Over in America, you get arrested for anything. So I was always going in and out of jail.
I met Mac on Sea Change too. He wasn't a participant, he was a co-facilitator and the driver of the minivan.
I came through the care system of the 60s and 70s, Wasn't exactly the best upbringing in life, but it is what it is, and it was what it was. After going through the care system, I went through the criminal justice system, became a career criminal. About 15, 16, I was addicted to cannabis, and then through cannabis I was introduced to other drugs like speed, amphetamine, uppers, downers, barbs, and then I was introduced to heroin and coke, and then I was introduced to crack. And you get the whole myriad of drugs, one follows the other. Yeah. At the end of the day, I came out of the care system, went into the criminal justice system, where it's even more prevalent, and I ended up addicted to heroin. Right? I got myself clean, right? And I was clean of heroin for 20 years. Although I was mixing and dabbling with other things, I was clean of heroin, which was my main drug of issue. I was clean for 20 years, and I came off a prison sentence in 2002, and I never made it off the car park. I had a mental meltdown, and I became addicted to crack and heroin again.
For me, it was about covering up emotions, I think. And I still don't like dealing with emotions. But a lot of addicts are dimming the pain. I think a lot of us have had a hard life. I can't say why people turn to drugs or alcohol, but when you do, it's an uphill battle. Very hard to come off.
Personal point of view, I see drug addiction as a mental health issue. They like to describe us as useless, wasting, want-not people who just take drugs because we enjoy them. It's a mental health condition because it all stems from what goes on in your brain. Why you take drugs, why you enjoy taking drugs, or why you're trying to hide things with drugs. You're trying to wear a mask by taking drugs because you're not prepared to deal with the emotional involvement of the issues that you're dealing with. So you take something to block it out, be it alcohol, be it drugs, be it scripted drugs, whatever. You block it out because there's something not working right in the head for you to keep doing what you're doing. It's a form of madness.
When I started, first started when I was 18, I'd think, oh, I'm gonna get clean one day. And then further in my addiction, it's very sad because I thought, I'm gonna die like this, I'm never gonna get clean. And very many addicts do. And now it looks like I probably will get clean. It's not something that your partner can want for you. It's not something that your children can want for you. It has to come from you.
It was just a huge thing for me to see like everybody else doing what they needed to be doing, and it just helped me say, I woke up one morning and I said, that's enough, I'm just not going to do it anymore. And I've had a couple, I think I've had 2 lapses, but you can't dwell on those because, you know, I have to appreciate and see that I would have never had that many days before where I was not using.
The catalyst for me stopping or seeking help, right, was when I got arrested for recidivative crime of trying to feed my drug habit. And it was a bit of a shock getting arrested for shoplifting because I never used to get arrested for little things like that.
Yes, it's easy to get clean. It's staying clean that's hard.
And the people that I've seen with 20 years clean, 30 years clean, they've got all something in common. And that what they have in common is they are still going to meetings after 20, 30 years. I think it would be very hard without continuous help and support from other addicts.
So what you have to do is surround yourself with winners and people of like mind who don't want to use, they want to make a change. When you're talking to a peer, they get what you're talking about and they know what you're talking about and they can empathise with you and they can help you get through that. Whereas somebody who's never been there, they can help you to a point, but not as much as somebody who's actually been there.
At Sea Change, Lynn went to support groups run by recovering addicts.
Today we look at social capital. It's about building relationships that include two-way obligations and support. So it's about building positive social networks. And the last couple of days we've been out on activities. Without you realising it, we have been practising the principles of social capital. So we haven't just been out on a jolly, we've been out and we've been practising getting along with each other. We've done some teamwork, like yesterday, doing the volunteering, and we've been cooperating with each other. Obviously we're all in recovery, so it's a safe environment to practice those principles. So do you think you've learned a little bit about your own resources the last couple of days, how to get on in a group?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Your behaviour will dictate the outcome in your life, whether you're happy, whether you're not happy, whether you're successful, whether you're not successful. Your behaviour is the deciding factor in there. Not what you think, not what you feel, but what you do is the important thing.
I did cognitive behavioural therapy, which really helped me. It made me stop and slow down and question. It helped me challenge my own behaviour. It gave me the tools to cope with the loneliness and isolation and the madness and self-loathing and hatred and just thinking that you're not worth anything, do you know what I mean? Whereas in reality, we're all individuals, we're all human beings and we are worth things to ourselves as well as to other people. Working the programme of the CBT, changing my way of thinking and putting the tools in place So that when I do have these crazy thoughts of, yeah, I'm all right, I can have a use up. No, I can't have a use up.
The other thing that both Lynn and Mac see as absolutely crucial is keeping busy.
Got to have things in place for you to be able to focus on and be structured about and do.
People with addictions, many years they don't lead normal lives because through the addiction that always comes first. Any person with an addiction needs something to do, something positive.
So what Sea Change has taught me is you can go out there and find things to fill your day, and that's a big step in helping you not pick up a drink or a drug or whatever it may be. I've got to find out where I can volunteer, and like animals is my joy of life. I love them, and if I could find somewhere where I could work with the animals, I'd be so happy.
As well as driving for Sea Change, Mac volunteers at an allotment project for recovering addicts.
I also am involved in another project called Uproar, which is an outreach project that we do around the nighttime economy in Birmingham. And we go out into festivals and pubs and clubs and diverse communities promoting a safer nightlife. As we know, people are going to use drugs in the nighttime economy, so what we do is we go out there and provide health and safety information around their personal safety and around the club drugs that they may well be using. Not that we condone whether they use them or not, but have the knowledge that if they are going to use them, at least know what you're using and how to do it safely. And it's a way of giving back to the community. That's what I do. Simple, pure and simple.